Thomas Frank is the guy who thinks Armstrong on the moon is fiction. Thomas Frank is the guy who get rung up and told, "You have won the lottery, sir." And he has won the lottery, but will not check because he says, "Who wins the lottery?" That is Thomas Frank. That is who we have in charge. I drove an hour and a half to the stadium. An hour and a half back it should have been, but there was a car on fire on the M11. So I was stuck there for an additional 45 minutes to watch Thomas Frank football. Hello guys, it's your boy Money on Designated Hotspur. Yes, it's me again. And I know you guys have been on this journey with me, so I'm gonna keep saying it over and over again. We've hit 800 subscribers. We've hit 800 subscribers just now. We're on 803. Goal is 1,000 before the end of the season, but I actually think that you guys, being the amazing guys that you are, we're probably going to hit the 1,000 by the end of January, mid-February at most. So thank you so much for everyone who has tuned in, especially the guys in South Korea, who seems to be or form the biggest part of my audience at the moment. So as per usual, smash the like, subscribe, share, hype, and let's see where we can go. Let's see where we can go. As a team, we ain't going nowhere. As a team, we ain't going nowhere. Well, I've literally, about 2 hours ago, came back. I've just come back from the stadium. It was, for everyone who knows, for you guys who are not in the UK, it's absolutely freezing at the moment. But what did we do? We took our jackets, we put our jackets on, put some gloves on, and just made our way to the stadium. And before Thomas Frank says things like the true Spurs fans this, the true Spurs fans that, he should maybe think about stuff like this. But hey ho, on the first positive, it was much better. It was much better the first half. It was I got to the stadium 30 minutes ahead of time. I saw the lineup and we had Vicario in goal. We had Davies on the left-hand side. And funny enough, when I saw Davies on the left-hand side, I didn't lose my head because I was thinking, you know what? Jet Spence hasn't been the Jet Spence of old, maybe because of fatigue. So I wasn't too worried or too upset about that fact. And then we had the normal pairing of Van de Ven and Romero in a centre-back position. And then we had Porro on the right. Then we had Bentancur and Gray. I've been quite critical of Gray for the past, few weeks, but, I'll get onto Gray in a second. And then we had Kudus on the right-hand side, Odegaard in the 10, and Tell on the left-hand side. I actually thought that, when I first saw the lineup, I actually thought that Kudus was going to be deployed in the 10. However, that was not the case. Odegaard was in the 10, Kudus was on the right, and then Tell was our left winger. And we had Richie up front. And I have to say, guys, it worked. It worked. I said in the group chat, when I first saw the lineup, I said in the group chat, guys, I have been very critical of Thomas Frank, but I'm happy that he's trying something different, because whatever he's been trying in the past has not been working, right? So fast forward into the game, we're pressing high. So, Kudus was pressing, Odegaard was pressing. Audibert was really pressing, like really, hunting down the person who was due for a pass. So, when Richie would press the goalkeeper, the DM of Sunderland, who would come in and get the ball, be it Xhaka, be it the number 6, who can't remember the name of, Audibert was hunting them down. Tell was hunting them down. These are players. These are young players with energy. If they haven't got anything else, they've got energy. And we could see it. We were hunting them down, causing them to make mistakes. And to be fair, we should have been 1-0 up even before we actually scored. Our midfield of Bentancur was playing a decent game. He was playing a decent game, covering a lot of ground on the left and on the right, covering up for Gray whenever he needed to. Gray was getting the ball and getting making the football tick. He was actually controlling and dictating a little bit of the tempo of the game. And yeah, I think we were solid. I think we attacked our spaces. We attacked in numbers. We pressed high up. And I was starting to think, you know what? This is great. This is what we've been calling out for. Well done, Thomas Frank. That's exactly how I was feeling. And I was even checking, when I came in, I was checking SofaScore to make sure that I wasn't just imagining these things. And when you look at SofaScore, and there is a chart that they have called Attack Momentum that shows the momentum pendulum swing between the opposition and the home team throughout the game. And when you look at the first half, you can see that the momentum was hugely on our side. Sunderland had very, very little ticks, spells, if you want to call them, of momentum, which means that we had the half. And in fact, if we were to look at the match stats for that first half, we had 53% possession of the ball. We had 0.90 XG to Sunderland's 0.07 XG, which means that we actually restricted them to very, very, very little chances. We had one big chance. We had 8 shots. We had 0 goalkeeper saves, over 200 passes, 5 tackles. So it was quite clear. We were dominating the game. We weren't dominating the game by being passive. We were dominating the game by being active, aggressive, on the front foot. I'm not saying that we had a blinder of a first half, but what I do know is that it was a massive, major improvement on the games, on our play in the past few weeks. And I was happy. And we then ended up scoring our first goal via a corner kick. So the corner was swung in, I think, by Tell. Romero chested it down. I actually thought he was going to head the ball back into the mix, but he actually chested it down like a midfielder, laid it off to Van de Ven. Van de Ven shot, and then in true poacher fashion, Davies just poached it in. And that was our 3 centre-backs involved in a play that resulted in a goal. And we were ecstatic. It was absolutely pandemonium at the stadium. Everyone was happy. Everyone liked the way we were playing. It was much better. It was much better. If I'm going to be overly critical, I would say that Vicario lambed the ball a bit too much into the air. But I think that is just marginal gains. That's with regards to things that we know our players can't do. Vicario can't play with his feet. Richarlison can't chest the ball down. So I'm not going to get too hard on these little things. I think our first half was actually decent. Then during our first half, In the 19th minute, Kudus gets injured. Now, it's quite interesting because a section of the fan base has been criticizing Kudus for overplay, not looking up, not passing the ball. But I actually think that I saw these same people starting to moan about the fact that Kudus was injured. But that's just by the by, right? So Kudus gets injured in the 90th minute. And again, that's where you can criticize the board, criticize the hierarchy, because we had to bring in Mwani, who's not a right winger. He's not a right winger. We got no backup for Kudus getting injured. And we've sold Johnson again, ole. So, unfortunately, we had to bring in Mwani. And to be completely honest, Mwani's cameo was, to put it lightly, quite horrendous. His touch was so off. But you could see, I don't want to go too much on him because he is not a right winger. He doesn't know how to play that position. And that's where I can give Thomas Frank some respite, because I can see and understand that obviously he hasn't got the tools to do the job to the highest degree, highest level. However, he has the tools to do what he has to do. But anyway, back to the game. So we go in the 30th minute, we go in front, and we had a few chances. I mean, Richie had a few chances. Odobert had a few chances to, I have to say, let me just say one thing. Tell lively wire all over them, gets the ball. And this is what I'm saying about playing players in the right position instead of Frank playing, Bergvall on the right hand side or Xavi on the right hand side. Tell gets the ball. First thing he thinks, and I used to be a winger. In my heyday, best believe it, I've put on some pounds, but in my heyday, I used to be a winger. Proper winger, touchline winger. And that's what Tell is. Tell gets the ball. The first thing he's thinking is, can I take my man on? He's got a great touch. He's got great physicality. He's got great agility. The first thing he's thinking about is taking on his man. Odobert, fantastic first half as well. I have to say, he plays in the 10 very, very well. He might lack some physicality, but he actually does do well in that position. Richie worked tirelessly for the team. So, yes, I can look back. Bentancur, great, keeping the ball ticking, right? And I can look back and say, first half, Thomas Frank had it spot on. And to be completely honest, we should have been 2-0 up, should have been 3-0 up. And that's where you start looking at the players and start thinking, well, that is because of quality. This is because of quality rather than a lack of tactical ability. So, first half comes in and I'm thinking, right, Thomas Frank, this is where you lay into the players and tell them, guys, let's go in, let's kill off the game, let's attack the game. And Harambo came back. The terrorist football by Thomas Frank came back in that second half. We came out in that second half and decided we were going to sit. And for those of you who just watched the game on TV, this is not a case of, oh, but did Thomas Frank really say this? No, brother. He did. Because all he was doing on that touchline was stretch his arms like he was Moses, right? Trying to part the waters, the Red Sea, and kept telling the players to hold their position. And this is where I question Thomas Frank's mentality. His mentality, guys, is not good for us. It's not good enough. He needs a major 360 to work at this place. Instead of telling his players to attack and try and retrieve the ball and keep pressing like the home team, which we were. I genuinely think that Thomas Frank thinks playing at home is playing away now. He told them to sit back. So we sat back and dropped a few yards. And if you look at the SofaScore momentum, for Spurs was non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. And that was as a result of Thomas Frank's instructions. He told the team to sit back, and that's exactly what they did. And if we were to look at the stats for that second half, and within SofaScore, you can basically see that in the second half, we had 44% of the ball, and our expected goals, our XG, went from 0.9, close to 1, to 0.29. Yeah, so that we got what we deserved. We had a first half performance that had something to write home about. And then Thomas Frank decided that he was going to sit back and protect the 1-0 in a Premier League game against the most in-form team that has come up from the Championship. I mean, I'm not going to lose my head over this game. I'm not going to, become erratic over it. I'm not going to be as reactionary as I was in the last video, because I saw some positives, but the negatives just outweigh the positives so much for this manager that it's becoming clearer and clearer for so many that he's not the right guy. Now, if we're trying to be balanced, especially, which is why I'm not losing my head with regards to this game, Richie got into a great position. He was put through in on goal, and it was 2v1 with Mwani on the left hand side, and my brother could not pass the ball to save his life. That was an easy pass for an easy tap-in. That is where I start blaming players. That is where, when someone says to me about the quality of the players, I can agree. Because I'm looking at it and thinking, we should have been 2-3-0 up. We should have been. We squandered chances against this team, but allowed them to gain momentum and get a foothold of the game. And that, unfortunately, is on Thomas Frank. It is. And I am doing my best at the moment to not listen to this guy's press conferences. Because the more I listen to his press conferences, the more wound up this guy makes me. But someone posted in the group chat, actually it was Connor, so shout out to my mate Connor Levinomics, and Thomas Frank said that the substitution of Bergvall on for Odobert was like for like, because Bergvall can play in the 10. And I'm like, Thomas Frank, whatever it is that you're having, give me some. Give me some. Because I want to be as deluded as this guy sounds. I genuinely want to be. Because it makes your life easier. And then to hear other parts of press conferences with him not being able to be shrewd enough to quickly answer a question of, are you enjoying your time here? Like, come on, man. We've got a rookie in charge. We've got someone in charge who thinks he is better than the club, even though, and keeps referring to us finishing 17th, even though it's been one time in the last 10 years that we finished below 9th. This guy is deluded. Absolutely deluded. Guys, listen. the best part of this all is we've got Bournemouth away on Wednesday. We got Bournemouth. Oh, Lord of mercy. Lord of mercy. Yeah, guys, we got Bournemouth away on Wednesday, and we sit 13th. We sit 13th, level on points with Palace after 20 league games. And to make matters worse, it looks like Arsenal are going to win the league. But that's going to be a totally different video that I'm going to shoot probably tomorrow. But yeah, guys, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? It's getting worse and worse. I mean, I've heard that Richarlison, Solanke is back this month. So I guess that's a positive. We've let Johnson, again, Ole leave. So I'm hoping that we are vigorously, fervently looking for a winger to come in. And depending on the extent of Kudus' injury, there is a likelihood that we need another winger on top of it. So, yeah, I mean, let's just get through this together, guys. Let's just get through this together. I don't think there is any other way we can deal with this. But, yeah, let's not lose hope. Let's try and be positive and see whether this manager is going to turn anything around. But if there's anything for sure, is that his mentality absolutely stinks. And if you don't think the same thing, your mentality absolutely stinks. So, guys, just smash the like, subscribe, share, hype. Thank you so much for listening to me. And again, come on, you Spurs.